what I want to do is just go over a little bit of what we're going to go through. And I'm going to go through different areas. First, we're going to talk about the 5 vocal power drivers of melody, pace, pitch, tone, and volume. And then I want to talk to you about breathing. I know you know how to breathe, but we're going to take it to a little deeper level. And then we're also going to talk about the different voice archetypes. What type of voice do you have? How can we define it? Because once you discover what that is, now we've got a platform, a base to go off of from there and to really make a difference. We're also going to talk about your health of your healthy voice, how to keep it healthy. We're talking about what foods work in your favor, which ones don't. What drinks should you be drinking or cutting back on? And again, it's going to be an experiment for you. It's not a thing where you're going to cut out things and say, oh, you're never going to eat or drink that again. It's all about finding out what works with your voice. So we want to go through and play with that. We were talking about how you're going to communicate and how the sound of your voice makes a difference. And when we think about it, we've got basically 8 seconds to make a difference, to connect with a person. You've got 8 seconds to make your voice count. It is going to become, your voice is the vehicle, and the influence is going to be, is the outcome. So we want the voice to be your vehicle, and your outcome of that is going to be your influence, okay? We want that outcome to be influence. I want you to tell me what makes you believable. Is it the words? Is it the emotion? Or is it the physicality? There you go. Words are only 7% about you being believable, okay? That's it. We talk about emotion, which is really vocal tonality, and that's 38%. And then there's physicality, 55%. The research that was done back in the 70s by Albert Mehrabian, he's the one who actually found this out. And it was very interesting because he really honed in on that vocal tonality and the nonverbal communications. So when we're talking about the vocal tonality, and then you see that physicality is 55%, I think about that and go, well, okay, we've got the emotions and the word. If you didn't have either of those, and I'm just flapping around, that means nothing. So again, we have to put these things together, but the emotion is where you're going to rise up, the vocal tonality, and what you can do to actually enhance and do subtle changes. We're only talking about subtle changes to your voice to really make this happen. I want to remind you that, again, the sound of your voice matters more than the words that you say, okay? And again, you were not born with the voice that you have today. Remember, we're influenced. We're influenced by what we've heard from the time we were born. Our parents were making that influence. We had the influence when, if we were old enough, we were watching TV rather than being on computers. And for those who have been on computers and phones and everything else, we got influenced by that. We're imitators. I think about my granddaughter, Leilani, who has been with us since she was 3 weeks old. Now, last year, and she's almost 4 now, last year, when we were all at home, and my wife and I were working at home, okay, we had to do something. I didn't like having to have screen time for her, but I let her do it. And she began imitating some of the things that she was hearing on the computers, on the iPad. So it was rather humorous too. When you think about, she's got one show she watches, it's called Bluey. It's about Australian cattle dogs. And so they have the Australian accent and the mannerisms and the speakisms. And she starts going around, okay, lovey, lovey, and just using some of the expressions. So we are imitators. Think about, have you ever had someone say to you, oh, you know what? You sound like your mom or you sound like your dad. Again, we have created the voices from what we've heard. Now, knowing that, we can move beyond that and start to say, what else can I create? What can I find? Do I have to have this airy voice? Do I have to have this really high voice all the time? Do I have to have this really low voice and speak really loud at the same time and be sounding like I'm angry all the time? Can we create variations? Yes, we can, using our 5 vocal power drivers of melody, pace, pitch, tone, and volume. So let's go over each of these. I want to give you the basis today so you can kind of think about these. The first one we're going to talk about is melody. Melody is the ascending and descending sounds that we use when we're speaking. You'll hear them a lot for people who sound really happy, because when they get excited, their voice goes up and it comes back down. They start talking a little faster because they get excited, and they might get a little louder too. So you have this variation. You're creating the mood by using ascending and descending tones and creating a melody. If you're not sure whether you've got enough melody, because let me tell you that 85% of the world is monotone. And when they're monotone, when we first think of that, we think about that one note that they stay on, they keep talking and they keep talking. And as they go on, you think, oh, wow, can I keep listening to this? And sometimes they might go up one note and come back down. And then sometimes they might even drop down a little bit and come back up. But after a while, it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't listen to that. So think about how many notes, how many tones do you think you use? On average, it's maybe 2 to 3, sometimes 5. But when you think about a piano that has 88 keys, we actually have the ability to use 40 of those notes if we practice and worked on expanding the range. Even if you expanded it by 15 or 20, that would give you a whole new world of sounds that would really make a difference on the impact and the connection you would make with people. Now, try doing, if you want to check out about melody, take the song Happy Birthday. And what I want you to do is you can sing that, and it doesn't matter how you sing it, because you know that it has varying notes. But I want you to take and make up words to the tune of Happy Birthday. Think of a time, something you did over the holiday, or a gathering you had, or walking to the park, anything. And I want you to create just a little tune and see where it takes you. See if it expands, takes you up a little bit, come back down, and play with that. So that's one little exercise you can try. All right, let's talk now about pitch. Pitch is actually the variation of inside the melody. People ask me, hey, what's the difference between pitch and melody? Well, pitch is the high and the low tones, okay? It's those notes I was talking about inside of those 40 different possible notes we could sing. When we put them together, we create a melody if we're going up and down, if we put several of those pitches together. So exercises can help expand and create more high and low tones. Now, next, let's talk about pace. How fast and how slow can we talk? If we talk too slow, then you are just going to bore people. Everybody's going to be like, oh my gosh, come on, let's move on with this. And again, on the other end, if you talk too fast and you're just rambling and putting sentences, connecting them together and keep going and going so fast, people can't process what you are saying. So there is a certain pace you're going to go depending again on the mood. Remember, I mentioned when you're in a happy state, you might talk a little bit faster. If you are in more talking, being grateful for something, I'm going to slow down a little bit. And when I slow down a little bit, I might lengthen some of the words that I'm saying. So it depends again on the emotion that you're trying to bring across as far as what the pace is going to be. But variation is good. You want to provide that. And the other thing about pace is pause. Don't forget to stop in between thoughts, at the periods especially. We're so used to, like at a period, we might go down a little bit. We're told, okay, when we're done with something, we just stop and we go down. We go down a little bit. And when we're at a comma, we might go down, even if we're not done with our thought. What happens when you do this, though, is people end up thinking, oh, you're done. It's time for me to talk. At commas and at periods, you can take the pause without people interrupting you by doing a little trick. And all it is staying on the same note or going up a little bit, just a little. It's not a slide, like a Valley Girl slide. It's just a little upward motion to keep the person listening because they think that you have something more to say. And then when you're done with what you're saying, then you can go down. Now it's your turn to talk. And that's how you can create that kind of illusion of, hey, I'm not done talking. And at the same time, I can pause and you aren't going to interrupt me. And I'll be able to say and give you all the thoughts and everything I want to give you. So that's a little trick inside of pacing and using pause and creating the listener to want to listen and keep listening to you. That is your time to let a person process what you're saying. Because even though we can sit and we can listen to things and we can process a lot, you still need to give the person a chance to think about what you said. They process it, of course, very quickly. But then you go on after that pause. And it's a split second. It's not like, okay, now I'm going to go on. Nothing like that. It's the split second that I use so that you can think about what I just said. And it's taking you closer to that kind of, oh, I get it, that aha moment. Then I go on with the thought because now the person's ready to hear the next thing. Because have you ever been in a situation where you're listening to a speaker and they're going, they talk, but they keep going and they had a thought and you knew that was the end of the thought, but they immediately moved into the next one. And you're like, wait, I'm still thinking about that last thing. Now I did not hear what you just said. So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Let me go to tone and volume real quick. So tone, airy to edgy sound. Think of the airy, if I'm talking like this, that might be something for, say, a romantic moment. It's not a total whisper, but you just have more air in your voice. Some of you remember Marilyn Monroe, her airy voice. And then there's the other end of it where we have a very edgy voice. I'm going to be edgy. I'm going to drop the sound a little bit and I'm going to have this edge. If I say the word brat, that's kind of the edge sound that I'm looking for. That works well in, say, the boardroom where the boss is talking or the team, you're trying to get something across. You have a more edgy sound. It's not going to work in the bedroom though, right? So you need to take and know which of these are going to work for you and when to add more air in. And it might be with certain words. There are certain words that we want to emphasize more than others. So we might want to put more edge on them, or we might want to make them more airy. The word beautiful is going to be more airy. It's not going to be beautiful. It's going to be just light and airy. Again, depending on the mood that you're trying to bring across. Last one I want to talk about is volume. How loud, how soft do we talk? Again, all depending on the emotion we're bringing across. Do we bring out everything when we really want to make a point, or when we get excited, we just get so happy and we get loud? Or do we bring it back down? We get a little bit softer when, again, we're bringing out maybe some passion, or that when I talked about grateful. We have variations, but all 5 of these are what you want to end up trying to practice and incorporate into the sound of your voice. Your challenge for today is going to be, I want you to record the answers to 2 questions, and then you have a paragraph that I want you to do. Okay, here's question 1. So I want to improve my voice because, and I just want you to record that. If you want to write that one in the chats in the Facebook group, that's fine. And then the next question is, if my voice were as strong as I want it to be, I would what? The best thing would be if you did record this and just let everybody kind of get to know who you are too. So I would like to see it recorded in the chat, whether you do it live, pre-recorded, it doesn't matter, but just get it in there. And then the last thing I want you to do is the paragraph that is listed in the on the group page in the comments. I want you to read that paragraph. That is going to be your baseline. I don't want you to change anything yet. Don't do that. I just want you to read it the way you normally would. And then we're going to work on adding a few more of some of the vocal power drivers. The easiest ones to maybe you start working on are melody and some volume and some pace. So first recording, just the baseline. If you want to make a second recording on your own, give it a try and try putting some melody, some volume, and some pace in. But I want you to go ahead, put those recordings up. I would appreciate if you do that because I want to hear your voice. That's the whole idea here. And that way I can help you with it. That's what I'm here to do.